Welcome back to the Natural Healing Ninjas with Christine and Laura Lee behind the camera. Thanks, Laura Lee.
Hi, everybody.
Today we're interviewing this wonderful dog trainer and all-around riding person and everything. I want to know everything about you. I first met you at this dog park, and you were so generous with your time to help with my dog and other dogs around here. But I want to get to know who you are. This is Juan, and pronounce your last name for me.
Lizarriaga.
Lizarriaga.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
And you're from Ancestral
Companions.
Yes.
So Ancestral Companions Dog Training is the dog training company that I started, and Ancestral Treats, which is this one, is the dog treat company that my sister and I started, and she is into Ayurveda and holistic healing. So she and I were talking about like what we would feed Moksha, my dog, and we just wanted the best for our dogs, so you know how that is. And because of that, we got both so involved in the process that we started making our own treats and trying things out. And as a trainer, I would have the treats with me, and then the dogs would get obsessed, and people would ask me, hey, what kind of treats do you have? And I was like, let's focus on the session. No, but what kind of treats do you have? Let's focus on the session. What kind of treats do you have? It's not the treats. And then one day I'm like, okay, a lot of people are asking about it. Maybe we should do it. So then we kind of figured out what we had to do, and there they are. And now they're in Cambria, they're in Stolos and Mady Mays and Bob and Jan's and Soto's and
Bob and Jan's,
yeah, and they're also in Avocado Shack, and they're in Carmel. They're all over.
Are they in San Luis Obispo?
Yes, Mady Mays, in every Mady May stores. We have them in San Luis and some other places. Yeah.
Well, I want to know your background. Where do you come from? Where do you start?
So originally I came from Ecuador. Guayaquil, Ecuador is a coastal city in South America, and I was born and raised there until I was 17, and then I moved to the U.S.
17?
Yeah. Wow. And so my first language is Spanish, and then English is my second language. Portuguese is my third, but yeah, I learned that when when we first moved from Ecuador to the U.S. We moved to Florida. My family, my mom, dad, sister, and myself, moved to Florida, and then I grew up and I moved around Florida, and then I moved to New Jersey, and I went to school at Rutgers University to study neuroscience, which is completely unrelated. And then I got published there as a co-author in scientific publications that had to do with bone marrow derived stem cells to cure childhood encephalitis.
Wow.
And yeah.
Where we can find that?
So if you go to the NIH, they have them, the National Institute of Health. So, and then it's all over PubMed. If you just type my name, Juan Lizarriaga, and put either neuroscience or JFK Medical Center, it's a hospital that has a neuroscience wing. And so I went there and I got published there.
Can you spell your name?
Yeah, L as in Larry, U, umbrella, zebra, umbrella, radio, India, alpha, gamma, alpha. Lizarriaga. Yeah.
Lizarriaga.
Yeah, so completely unrelated, but that's part of my studies. And then I realized at some point I was like, what, I'm gonna die, and do I want to do this forever? and then I was just like, I want to do something with heart now, because I was in the brain, I was in the mind, just very intellectual conversations, very intellectual work, and I just kind of want to do something emotional, and that's why I went into writing. But as an immigrant, we're not. My parents were like, you can do anything you want, but you gotta make money. so they were really supportive of our stuff, but as hobbies, right? So I never thought like writing could be a career, or my sister that music could be a career for her.
What do you write?
So I write poetry. Right now I'm focusing more on poetry, prose poems, poetry.
Wow.
And I'm writing really about the experience of how weird it is that I was in a place where we spoke a different language and had different cultures and habits and relationships with people, and move into another planet where it's like completely different language, different culture, different people, and in the process of how you can get very confused about who you are as a person. I did, at least, and for a while there you try to fit in so much that you forget your culture. you know. So it's a very intricate kind of experience because you want to fit in. Like you're here, you want to fit in, but that doesn't mean you forget who you are. But nobody taught us. So all our family came in here to the U.S. together. So they're all trying to figure it out while we're trying to figure it out. So it's not like I can go up to someone and be like, "Hey, how did you figure that out?" Or like, "What do we do here?" You know, they're just as confused as I was, I imagine.
How did you get into the dog training then? That's very interesting.
Yeah, so like in Ecuador, we grew up with dogs, and dogs in Ecuador are very different than in South America. I would say even in Asia as well, like the dogs are very different. I don't know if you've seen videos there's like a video, it's very traumatic. This lady going up to a random dog on the street, petting it on the face. The dog looks super sweet while she's petting it, and boom, then the dog just starts attacking. And that's how they are. They're just like, I'm really nice, but they have that danger zone that can be exhibited at any moment, you know. No, I think it's because they're mostly, most of the people, at least that's changing now a little bit more, but most of the dogs are outside dogs. And outside dogs are more in tune to nature, more in tune with their natural, like, you know, animal side. So they're very unpredictable in that way. So when you're walking in South America and Asia and stuff like that, you're walking down and a dog might just come out of nowhere. And then if you don't react well, the dog can just bit you and then just run away, you know. So
You learned that way.
yeah. So
Why
I mean,
did
that's
you
part
get
of it.
interested? How did you? What?
Yeah.
It was a complete turnaround.
Yeah.
And plus your poetry, you're writing from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the things that you're doing with your dog training is from the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything is from the heart.
Yeah. So the whole thing started with, you know, I got interested. I've always been interested in dogs, but I've always helped people for free, just because, you know, I don't know. I just never thought of it as like this is something I could do. So then it is when I moved to California. I went to school at UC Merced, and to learn to study English, right, and writing. And when that was happening, I think that was the moment where I started developing the writing, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna either have to get a job or I'm gonna have to do something
Writing
because
doesn't pay a lot.
yeah. So while I was in school, so then I started just kind of getting into training. I was like, well, I'm helping a lot of people for free in my neighborhood. I lived in Merced when I went to UC Merced, and in my neighborhood I would just tell people, hey, I'll walk your dogs for free. I put signs everywhere. I'll walk your dog for free. And the reason why is because there were so many dogs that were just like, you could tell that they're just hanging out outside all day. Nobody sees them. I would walk at all times with my dog. I was like, man, these dogs look really bored. So I just put signs up like, I'll walk your dog for free. And I would.
Must have got a lot of response.
You know what? Believe it. That's what I thought. I was like, I'm gonna get overwhelmed, but I only got a couple of people. Yeah, and I was like, it's free, but maybe they thought it was like there's a trick to it. Nobody gives it for free.
Right.
I have no idea. Yeah.
So then you got paid after that?
So then I would just realize, you know what? It started when the one person that I offered for free. They were like, well, we're gonna pay you, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, that's right. I didn't really think about it. You can get paid doing this. And then I started just taking people on, working with the shelters and all kinds of different things. And then that's kind of how it started. But I would say that a big change was when my dog was born about like 4 years ago. And I rescued her in Florida while I was visiting my parents during COVID. And then that's really when I got even more into it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to and she was also a very atypical dog. She's a herding breed, and as you know, like herding breeds are very strange. They should be classified as something else than dogs. They don't follow the same rule set.
True,
They're so strange, and I had so much trouble with her. I was like, man, all this stuff works usually, but for some reason this is not working. I don't know what's going on. So I had to go do sheep herding training. I had to go study under different trainers. Next thing you know, I have seen so much. I'm like, oh, okay.
So you had your training yourself.
Yeah.
You trained yourself. So all of a sudden you just like fell into this?
Yeah. I was just helping so many people that I was just like, oh, I got really good. Like, I just didn't really realize it until somebody mentioned it to me. They were like, you should start charging people because people need it. And I was like, oh, you're right. And then that's kind of how I started. So I started it during school. I was going to school full time at UC Merced. And then the dog treat happened, after after some time that I was making my own treats. And they were like, I spent like a year testing them, just like giving them for free and testing it out and seeing what works. That's why like this fly off the shelf,
works, yeah.
because we've really tested it. Yeah.
I want to ask.
Yeah.
I know, because this is a natural healing
Yeah.
show. It comes from psychological area that you can study the dog, and you know the dog, and you know the owner or the parent or whatever you want to, the person in their lives, and so you're really good at psychological dissecting is what I like to see it, because when our dogs reflect us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
When you do that, you're always what are you doing with the dog?
Right.
Is it you?
Oh yeah. I mean that's a good statement, and I think that really what's happening is the dog issue is very small in comparison to the human issue. I really work with people so they can understand their dogs, so they can teach their dogs, because everybody is just like, I feel bad if I tell my dog no, they won't like me anymore. That's kind of the thinking. But dogs, they're not like they don't think in that way, right?
So how do they think?
So they're more like, it's very binary for a dog, right? So they want to follow you, but you're very confusing as a human being. Like, so I'll give you an example. The dog, I come in the door, the dog jumps on me. No, hey, no, and I push. I looked, which is telling my dog, good job. I spoke. Even if you tell your dog, shut up, they're still like, well, at least you talk to me. That's it, right? You just touched me, which is good. Even if you spank your dog, they'd rather be spanked than not touched. Because again, all these, because they're just a very, yeah, and they're an animal that requires a group. They're just, So then you talk to them, right? So then you're giving them all this reinforcement, but you're saying no. They don't know what no means, right? So then that's one. Or you're saying no. Let's say you do it the correct way, which is use your knee. Don't look, don't touch, don't talk to them. They use your knee, and then later on when they jump on you, you're like, oh, I love you too. What the heck?
Yeah, that's really confusing.
I thought you said it was no. But yes, sometimes they don't do well with that.
They don't know sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, they don't generalize very well, so we're very confusing as human beings. So then it's just about finding out, what is it about you that's being confusing? And a lot of people are being held back because they're like, I don't want to be mean. And it's like, well, calling a boundary is not mean,
Yeah.
Like if somebody just gets too close to you and you're like, do you mind giving me a little bit of personal space? Thank you so much. That shouldn't feel, but I think that as human beings, we have a tendency to not call not call boundaries because we feel bad, but it's totally natural.
We're always working for the other person instead of ourselves.
Exactly. So then I make the changes from the person, and the dog follows like that. It's just I can show a person, like my dog attacks every dog. I can grab the dog, and the dog doesn't attack anybody. And it's like, how? Right? So it's just, you have to change. And sometimes these changes, not everybody can make them. And that's why I don't work with everyone. If I see somebody, I'm like, look, maybe this dog is not, you're not well suited for this dog, because you don't want to tell them no, and this dog is attacking other dogs. Unfortunately, it's going to be difficult for you to turn around if you don't want to tell your dog no. You know what I mean? So, and, so that's fair.
That's interesting. So you got into it just as a happenstance, I would say, as you walk the dogs, and all of a sudden you realize people really need this. This is something that you could use in your repertoire.
Yeah.
And you're still writing poems.
Yes.
You are, and I think you went to something in San Francisco, an awards thing. Or?
Yeah. So I did the San Francisco Writers Conference. I was hired to go there and share my poetry. I have a book of poems coming out this year, and it's just something that the publishers thought it was a good idea, and I loved it. It was so cool. We had a few panels. I was in a panel that also talked about the work that I do at the prisons at California Men's Colony.
Tell us about that part.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like?
Oh my God, it's unreal. And I'll tell you something funny about this, how that started. I actually was like, you know what? I'm so interested in the prison world. I've never been to prison, so I want to know what that's like, and beyond just reading or watching a movie about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I commit a small crime, and then I can I swear to you, I was like, maybe if I commit a small crime, I can be there for a little bit of time, and enough to write about it. And now, terrible idea.
no.
But you know what's so funny? The universe is always listening to you,
Yes,
right? So the
yes.
universe sent me someone to knock on my door, right? Well,
Yes, of course, of course.
While I was, thank you. While I was in the middle of a workshop, a magazine that I got published in, they had a reading, and I was reading there, and somebody approached me and was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about working in prisons?" And I was like, "No, but tell me more. Stay right here." And it's like I called it, right? And then it happened. So then I got involved in a prison in Jamestown, then another. So I just kind of been working different prisons wherever I'm living.
What's that experience like?
Oh my God, it's incredible. It's nothing like you think it's gonna be. The first day that I was there, I didn't feel nervous, you know. I just felt like this is all new. I'm watching, and this guy was like, "You look like you've done this before," and I was like, "I have not," but I am very open to the experience, you know. And it's amazing the stuff that I'm so privileged to hear writing from groups that don't usually have a voice, you know. And I'm getting gems firsthand. I
Really?
grab them and I can
Really?
see them, and I'm like, this is so cool. So we're currently working on an anthology that all the participants are putting together on poems that they all written. So we're gonna bring it into this book, and it's gonna be an anthology from California Men's Colony, which I'm super excited
That's
to.
exciting.
Yeah.
And do you ever bring your dog in there?
Yeah, she comes with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and so they just love that?
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah, I bring her wherever I go. I teach at Cuesta College. I teach adults with disabilities skills class, and she comes in there, and everybody's like, "Where is she? She didn't come," you know. And the same thing at the prison. But again, very rewarding work at the prison. I love it. Everybody is super creative, and there are some things that I'm just super inspired about. You know, I don't have to do a lot of these things, but I do them because I love it. You know, and I am fortunate enough that Ancestral Companions Dog Training is doing well. It originally started in Merced, so I have a manager working there, managing that side. So
you still have a business in
yes.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
so
and you moved it down to San Luis Obispo County?
yeah, so there's a branch there. I have a manager that takes care of Merced. So I just now just do a slow county, and you know, just open it up to anybody that needs any help, and you know.
Well,
And,
you've been great. I've talked to very many people around here, and it's a natural thing for you. It's like you come into it and you walk right into it, and everyone else, all the people accept you for like, this is great. This is great because you're always so helpful and so giving of your time and your expertise, and you come from the heart, and that's what we like to see. That's really healing. Like these things are healing
absolutely.
for your dog,
Yeah.
and healing for humans too. To give them the treat, to know that you're helping the dog understand what they need to understand.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. The healing element is so major for us. We could sell anything. We could like find something like, you know, I'm like, you know, something really low quality or whatever. We're not involved in that. We're not interested in that. I'm not going to give it to my dog, then why would I sell that? You can make millions with it, yeah, but in to the expense of what, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in that. This is what I would feed my dog. This is all local stuff, so we like to stimulate the local economy. Everything in here is sourced from really, really close by. Sometimes really the furthest out, it's like Fresno, but usually it's right here. It's like San Luis or Paso or something like this.
Can you get them online?
Yeah, you can get them online.
And give us your .com.
It says Ancestral Treats, like ancestors, ancestral, TRAL, treats.com. And then you can order them online.
And you have Ancestral Companions also as a different website.
Yes,
as well.
ancestralcompanions.com is the website for dog training. And then I have social media where I just give it free advice and tips and tutorials on how to teach your dog to do this or what to look out for, all kinds of different things. If anybody's interested in anything, you shoot me a DM and I'll make a video about it, about something that you're interested
in. And so
in.
you put it on your website then?
Oh, yeah.
And YouTube or anything like that? Or?
We have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Nextdoor. We haven't done YouTube yet because I'm working on I'm almost finishing a video series. So it's going to be like do it at your own, dog training at your own pace.
Oh, that's,
you know.
that's a great idea.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to sell that too?
Yeah, yes. So the courses will be there for anybody that wants to. So it's just more affordable for people that have more time and they don't have as much resources, that they don't want to get private training, or somebody that will have people like travel from really far away. I have people that come in from San Francisco, from LA, and I'm like, oh my God, you just they are willing to drive because they see the videos, they see the quality of the work, and
Yes. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you're establishing yourself here on the Central Coast.
Yes.
So how do you like that? Do you like that better than Merced?
It's different. I have problems here that I don't have in Merced. so every place is like different. I like challenges, So
It sounds like that's your middle name.
yeah. Yeah, I love challenges. You talked about healing, and that's essentially what we're doing. We're like all reminding each other of things that we already know, but we have forgotten about.
We have to remember them.
Yeah, so that's what the dog training is like. I tell people, and they're like, "Oh, right," and it's like, I knew that they knew it deep down, but they have forgotten about it. Sometimes there are techniques that are new, but in the more kind of forward approach, it's like, hey, you have to, if you want your dog to follow, you have to lead, and they're like, that's right. And it's like, and then it's like not only in that, but it goes into their lives too.
Absolutely.
Everything, like,
it changes your life having a dog.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, everything that you do, even if it's like a small thing, it rains all over your life. So if I decide to find some terrible thing to feed dogs that I can make a lot of money on, that's raining all over my life in some way.
It affects your whole life.
Exactly, and your character, your personality. That has something to do with
integrity.
it. Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that's what you exhume is integrity. Exhume?
Yeah, exude. Yeah.
Your poem book that you went up to.
It's called It's called Woo 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 Woo.
Oh, it's bicycles. It's called the bicycle coming through.
So it's called Chimborazo Whispers. The Chimborazo is a volcano in Ecuador.
Say that again.
Chimborazo.
Chimborazo.
Yeah. So you'll see it in Patagonia, where you'll say Chimborazo. That's actually a volcano in Ecuador. It's one of the biggest ones in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called.
Spicy poem.
Yeah, it's called Chimborazo Whispers.
Oh.
Yes.
A little twist on that.
Yes, like the whispers from there.
Wow. Whispers. Well, I want to read it. That's
Thank you.
Awesome.
Can you spell that though? The Chimborazo.
Chimborazo, yeah, it's CHIMB as in boy, ORAZO.
And how do people get a hold of you?
So you can look me up in ancestralcompanions.com or ancestraltreats.com, or if you want to see more of my writing, Juanology.com.
Juanology?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I feel like everybody has like an ology, right?
An
like a
ology.
study of your own self.
That's what we're doing here. Thank you so much for being here. It's
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm so glad you could come.
Yeah, me too. I'm so happy to see that you're doing what you're doing,
And we're
bringing
spreading it
people
out,
together.
Bringing people together and showing them there's a different way to heal.
Yes.
And this is another way to heal. Is through your dog. You find out more about yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. During the process of training your dog,
Yeah.
you will find out that dogs. I believe dogs come here with a particular mission, and then when you start getting into training, you start noticing, what is that mission? Like, this dog is testing me. Yeah, this dog came to make you more patient, or like, or this dog, I don't understand them. It's for you to think and then unlock some type of creativity. I mean, you never know what it's gonna take you.
Yes.
But yeah, for sure.
It inspires you. It inspires you to go on.
Exactly.
Thanks
exactly.
so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate